Emmanuel Macron has accused Britain of not being serious about dealing with the migrant crisis involving the two countries. He's been speaking 2 days after 27 people drowned trying to reach the UK. Mr Macron confirmed that European interior ministers will meet on Sunday, but without their British counterpart Priti Patel. France withdrew its invitation to Priti Patel after Boris Johnson released a letter outlining steps he wanted France to take to prevent crossings. Well, let's get the very latest from my colleague Ben Boulos, who is following all the developments for us in Dover. Ben, over to you.
Yes, and how different the situation is politically from just 24 hours ago. I was standing here yesterday talking about how there was a spirit of cooperation between the UK and French governments, talk of joint action, a unity of purpose in trying to deter people from making that perilous crossing from France to the UK in small boats, and also to tackle the problem of the people smugglers, the human traffickers, making vast sums as they packed people into overcrowded boats, in some cases, as we saw on Wednesday, sending them ultimately to their deaths. Last night, the UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson published an open letter to the French President Emmanuel Macron, setting out a number of points which he believed were essential to tackling the problem. Among them, patrols, joint patrols on French beaches, air surveillance, using technologies such as sensors and radars, and crucially, getting France to agree to a deal to accept the return of people who had made the crossing back to deter others from trying to do the same. That has angered the French government, so much so that the invitation to the UK Home Secretary to attend talks on Sunday has now been revoked. A little earlier, President Macron explained why he felt Boris Johnson's letter was so misplaced.
I am surprised by methods that aren't serious. We do not communicate from one leader to another by tweets and letters on these issues. We don't throw warnings around. Come on. Come on. So ministers will work seriously to deal with a serious issue with serious people. That's why on Sunday, Minister Darmanin will meet with his counterparts from the European Union and the Commission to work on this issue. And then we'll see how we can work with the British on how to respond effectively, if they decide to be serious.
Our Europe correspondent Jessica Parker is in Calais, and she told me that while the UK has been frozen out, the talks will still go ahead with France and other EU countries.
Priti Patel, the UK Home Secretary, will not be there, or that's currently the situation. We'll have to see how things develop over the next couple of days. But you're right, Germany, the Netherlands, Belgium, European Commission, ministers from those countries will come here to discuss the issue. And I think this is part of a French push to really try and point out that from their view, this is a shared European problem. Why? Well, some of the people who end up here on the coast of northern France and then try and make that incredibly dangerous journey across the Channel, they'll have entered the EU via another country. So that's why President Emmanuel Macron, the French president, has talked about the need to also reinforce support for the European Union's external borders. So that discussion will go on, and involving as well, importantly, I think the European Commission, who'll want to have a role in trying to coordinate any efforts, because of course this is all part of a wider migration crisis that takes many different forms and brings various complications. But of course we've also seen huge issues, very different set of circumstances though, on the Poland-Belarus border as well. So I think there is increasingly on the agenda this issue of migration, which has been an issue now for a long time. And of course the problems that have been here are not new, but we saw a particularly tragic day on Wednesday when at least 27 people lost their lives. A couple of days on though now, it seems all that talk of joint cooperation, at least between Britain and France, seems to be crumbling.
Jessica Parker there for us in Calais. Well, let's get the perspective in Westminster. We can speak to our political correspondent, Ione Wells. Ione, has there been any reaction from the UK government to that decision to revoke the invitation to the UK Home Secretary Priti Patel for attending the talks?
That's right. There has been lots of reaction this morning from the UK government, both from the Transport Secretary Grant Shapps, who's been out and about this morning responding to this, but also from Downing Street themselves. Now, Grant Shapps has stressed that he would like to see more cooperation, that he would like to see that invitation to the Home Secretary Priti Patel reinstated. And the general view from the UK government is that they believe in some kind of cooperation is necessary to try and resolve this problem. Downing Street have said they wanted explained why this invitation to Priti Patel has suddenly been revoked, and that the priority should be saving lives. Now, the UK government have also stressed that the solutions or ideas that Boris Johnson set out in his letter, which has sparked this controversy, are ideas that have been put forward before. But that is kind of at the crux of what the problem is here, because the French have argued in particular that sort of by writing this letter with the suggestions that France should be taking back migrants who have made that dangerous channel crossing, they are putting France in a difficult situation, because these are ideas that have been put forward to France before in private. They're ideas that have previously been rejected, and France feel that by kind of this now playing out in a very public way with this open letter by the Prime Minister, but also through tweets, they're put in a difficult position, and they feel in a way like this is kind of putting pressure on them, but also that this is potentially kind of politicising the events that we've seen over the last couple of days. So I think what has kind of originally started as this tragic humanitarian crisis, now also bubbling into what is swiftly becoming a quite public diplomatic row about this.